The sky over Virex 7 was always the same, thick, gray clouds swirling with poison. Acid rain fell in slow drips, hissing as it touched the metal roofs of the mining compound. The air smelled like rust and chemicals. Breathing without a filter mask meant coughing blood within minutes. Elias Merrick tightened the bolts on a broken drill. His hands were calloused, his gloves torn. The drill was old, worn from years of overuse. Like most of the machines here, it had been patched together more times than it should have been. Around him, other workers moved slowly, tired, and silent. Most were human. A few looked up as security drones floated by, their red lights scanning for signs of rebellion. The overseers, tall, insect-like aliens called Jurniks, watched from towers. They didn't speak unless it was to give orders or punish someone. Elias kept his head down, but his mind wasn't quiet. At night, deep under the mining compound, Elias met with the others. The resistance was small, maybe 20 people. Some were engineers, some cooks, one was even a medic. They weren't soldiers, just humans who were tired of being treated like dirt. Tonight, Elias brought something new. "This," he said, holding up a data drive, "is what changes everything." They sat around an old table in a storage room filled with broken parts. The light flickered overhead. No one spoke. They waited for Elias to explain. "A contact on Delta 4 smuggled this out of a Union base," he said. "It's real. We've checked it twice." He plugged the drive into a small projector. A hologram blinked to life. Rows of files, charts, and video logs. The word Sterilization Program 7 flashed across the screen. One of the men swore under his breath. A woman began to cry. The files showed everything. Orders signed by Union officials, medical tests done without consent, long lists of names. Human names, marked with one word. Terminated. "They're not just using us," Elias said, his voice tight. "They're trying to erase us." No one could believe it at first, not because it was shocking, but because, deep down, they had always feared it was true. Elias turned off the projection. "We can't stay quiet anymore," he said. "We send this to every colony, every ship, every human out there. If we fall fighting, not begging." A long silence followed. Then a voice from the back. "Let's do it." One by one, they all agreed. The next morning, work went on like usual. The sky was still gray. The machines still broke down. The drones still watched. But something had changed. Elias looked up, just once, and saw a young worker meet his eyes. For the first time, there was no fear, only fire. The message spread faster than anyone expected. Elias sent the files from a hidden transmitter deep beneath Virex 7. The signal was masked, bouncing off old satellites and abandoned stations, reaching out to every human colony within range. He didn't expect a reply right away. But within hours, responses began flooding in. Some were short. "Received," "We see it," or just, "God." Others came with questions, anger, disbelief. But most of all, there was one thing in common. Rage. On distant colonies like Tarnus 9, humans walked off the job mid-shift. They refused to return to their posts. On Korvek Station, 2 engineers locked a Jurnek supervisor in an airlock and sent a broadcast to the entire sector. "We're not your tools anymore." Riots began on more than 10 planets within 2 days. On Virex 7, things were still quiet. For now. In the tunnels, Elias met with his team again. The room felt different. Not scared. Focused. "They're listening," said Mila, the medic. Her voice shook. "For once, we're not alone." Elias nodded. "But it won't take long before the Union reacts." Hard. He was right. The next day, a new ship arrived in orbit. Not a cargo hauler. A patrol ship, armed, fast, and painted in the silver-black colors of the Union Guard. Drones doubled. Curfews were enforced. Several humans were dragged away without explanation. One of them was Thomas, a teenage mechanic who had helped Elias send the first message. Elias stood at the edge of the compound that night, watching the guards march through the mud. His fists were clenched. His heart burned. They knew. The Union knew what was happening, and they were afraid. Far away on the central planet of Virel Prime, High Consul Virel Tharn watched the footage from his throne room. Riots, explosions, humans chanting, resistance symbols sprayed on walls. He frowned. "Contain it," he said coldly. "But sir, it's spreading faster than we." Tharn stood, his tall form towering over the advisor. His long, armored fingers tapped the edge of the control panel. "Then break them faster," he hissed. "Crush the leaders. Silence the colonies. Remind them what they are." His eyes glowed red. "Remind them they are nothing." Back on Virek 7, Elias met with his team for one final decision. "We can't just keep sending messages," he said. "We have to act. If we sit still, they'll pick us off one by one." "What do you have in mind?" asked Kalen, the old miner with scars across his face. Elias pulled out a map of the compound. "There's a shipment leaving tomorrow. Guarded, but not heavy. If we can take control of it, we can slip past orbit and reach the next system. From there, we bring this fight to the stars." They looked at him, tired, angry, ready. They didn't say yes. They didn't need to. Dawn broke over Virek 7 like every other day, gray and cold. But this time, something was different. Hidden beneath the mining complex, Elias and his team prepared for their first real strike. The shipment was scheduled to leave at first light. It carried refined minerals, guarded by a small group of armed Jurnek soldiers. The plan was simple: intercept the truck before it reached the landing zone, take out the guards, and use the vehicle's codes to board the cargo shuttle. If they succeeded, they could leave Virek 7 and carry the resistance to other colonies. If they failed, they'd all be dead within minutes. Elias stood beside the truck tunnel with Mila, Kellen, and two others, Bran and Tessa. Each of them wore repurposed mining suits, reinforced with scrap armor and hidden weapons. Mila clutched a stun pulse device. Kalen had a heavy mining drill strapped to his back. Bran looked nervous. "We're really doing this." "We're already in it," Elias said. "There's no going back." The moment came. The truck rolled into the tunnel, engines rumbling, lights glowing faintly in the dust-filled air. Two Jurnex guards sat in the front, two more in the back. As it passed a marked point, Elias gave a sharp signal. Tessa triggered a power surge from a nearby control box. The tunnel lights exploded, blinding the guards. The truck stuttered to a stop. In seconds, they were on it. Bran and Callan rushed the back while Elias and Mila flanked the front. The stun pulse took out the driver. Callan swung the drill into one guard's chest. Metal cracked and sparks flew. Mila pulled the other from the cab, jabbing him with a shock rod. It was over in less than a minute. Elias jumped into the truck and keyed in the stolen codes. The system accepted them. "Let's go," he said. The shuttle waited in the launch yard, unmanned, preloaded. They reached it with no resistance. The guards still thought it was a normal pickup. Minutes later, the shuttle lifted off, climbing through the dark clouds of Virek 7 and bursting into space. They didn't rest. Once they cleared orbit, they changed course, avoiding patrol routes. Their destination, Meyer Station, an old mining hub turned into a floating slum. Thousands of humans lived there, packed into rusting metal halls, forgotten by the Union. Elias had contacts there, former workers, smugglers, even a few ex-soldiers. They arrived 3 days later. The station was dim, loud, and filled with tension. Humans moved quickly, eyes down. Union guards were present, but thinner here. Too many people, not enough control. Elias met with a woman named Reyna in a locked storage bay. She was tall, lean, with sharp eyes and a long scar across her neck. She used to be Union military. Now she helped move weapons and information. "You stirred up a storm," she said. "Your name's spreading fast." "We need more than talk," Elias said. "We need fighters. Tech. Safe routes." Reyna stared at him. "You're asking for a war." "No," Elias said. "I'm answering one." She gave a slow nod. "Then you'll need this." She handed him a small sealed cube. An AI core. Old Union software, smuggled from a wreck. It can shut down their security grids for a few minutes. Enough to make a difference. More than you know. As the resistance grew, so did the danger. The Union placed a bounty on Elias Merrick. Dead or alive. Priority threat. Posters and messages spread across the stars with his face on them. Some saw him as a criminal. Others began to call him something else. The Voice. And on Viral Prime, High Consul Tharn watched it all with growing rage. He slammed his clawed hand on the screen. One human. One spark. And now the fire spreads. He turned to his generals. "Find him. Kill him. Burn every colony that hides him. Let them learn what happens when they bite the hand that feeds them." But Elias wasn't running anymore. With Meyer Station behind him and new allies at his side, he moved from system to system, lighting flames on every world he touched. The Union had made a mistake. They thought humans would stay quiet. Now the stars were beginning to roar. The resistance had grown. In just a few weeks, Elias Merrick had connected human outposts across 5 systems. His message had spread through cargo holds, maintenance tunnels, and encrypted broadcasts. On each colony, small groups of humans stood up. They sabotaged equipment, cut off supplies, and spread the truth. But Elias knew that protests and sabotage were not enough. The Union would crush them unless they struck harder. It was time to fight. Their target was a Union warship, the Vindicator, stationed near the gas planet Sorella. It was a patrol vessel, armed and fast, but lightly staffed. It docked once a month at a refueling station operated by a few dozen workers, mostly human. That station was where they would make their move. Elias, Mila, Reyna, and 2 new fighters. Jiro, a tech specialist, and Ven, an ex-pilot, approached the station in a stolen freighter. The warship was already docked when they arrived. Its black hull loomed over the station like a shadow. Inside the freighter's small cabin, the team went over the plan. "We'll slip in with the supply crates," Jiro said. "I've hacked the security tags. As long as no one checks too closely, we're in." Once aboard, Elias said, "We plant the pulse bombs near the core. We don't need to destroy the ship, just disable it. Send a message." "What if they catch us?" Ven asked. "Then we finish it from the inside," Reyna said, loading her rifle. No one argued. The infiltration went smoothly. At first, dressed as cargo techs, they entered the lower decks of the warship unnoticed. The hallways were dark, cold, and quiet. Jiro marked the path to the engine room. Elias and Reyna moved ahead, planting the charges near the core while the others watched their backs. Everything was going to plan. Until an alarm blared. Motion sensor triggered. Jiro hissed into his comm. "Someone's onto us." Footsteps echoed. Union soldiers, humanoid, armored, fast, came from both ends of the corridor. Elias grabbed his blaster. No choice now. We fight. The firefight was brutal in the tight hallway. Blasts lit the walls, and sparks rained from overhead lights. Mila took a hit to the shoulder, but kept shooting. Reyna dropped 2 soldiers with perfect aim. Ven held the rear, covering their retreat. With seconds to spare, Elias activated the charges. "Run," he shouted. The explosion rocked the ship. Alarms screamed. Power failed. The lights went out. They made it back to the freighter, barely clearing the blast radius as the warship drifted in space, its engines dead. The news hit the galaxy like lightning. A Union warship, disabled by human rebels. It was the first major strike. The first real blow. On colony worlds, cheers broke out. On mining stations, workers walked off the job in pride. Across the Union, silence fell. Some alien species began to question what they'd believed about humans. Maybe they weren't weak. Maybe they were dangerous. Elias sat in the freighter's cargo bay, bandaging Mila's arm. She winced but smiled. "That's going to leave a scar." "Good," Elias said. "Scars remind us we survived." He looked out the small window, where the dead warship floated in the stars. "This is just the beginning." Far away, on Viral Prime, High Consul Tharn stared at the report in silence. His face was tight with fury. "A warship," he whispered. "A warship." He crushed the datapad in his hand. "I want Earth," he said coldly. "I want that filthy planet burned. Let humanity remember what happens when they defy the Union." Elias didn't know it yet, but the final battle was coming, and it would be on the homeworld. The sky above Earth was calm. Birds flew across broken city skylines. Rivers flowed past ruins and rebuilt towers. Humanity's homeworld had changed over the centuries, but the spirit of the planet remained. Strong, waiting. But peace would not last. From the edge of the solar system, Union ships approached, dozens of them. War cruisers, drop carriers, gunships. At the center was a massive flagship, the Dreadlight, led by High Consul Viral Tharn himself. His orders were clear: crush the resistance and burn the home of mankind. Elias Merrick stood in an old underground command bunker beneath the ruins of old Berlin. Dust coated the walls. The air smelled of oil and metal. Around him were resistance fighters, men and women who had once been miners, medics, pilots, farmers. Now they were soldiers. "This is it," Elias said. "They're coming. Not just for us, but for all of us. For every child born on Earth. For every human who ever hoped for more." He stepped closer, voice calm but firm. "We stand now, or we fall forever." Silence followed. Then a chorus of nods. No one was turning back. The Union fleet entered orbit. Cities lit up with warnings. Resistance bunkers activated old Earth defense grids, satellite cannons, stealth drones, and ancient war AI reprogrammed for one purpose: survival. The battle began. From the skies, Union ships rained fire down onto Earth's surface. Lasers scorched forests, cities trembled under sonic bombs, and towers fell in clouds of ash. But the humans fought back. From hidden batteries, Earth launched pulse cannons. Drone swarms, guided by resistance hackers, tore into Union engines. Old fighters, patched and smoking, rose from underground hangars and met the enemy head-on. It wasn't polished, it wasn't perfect, but it was fearless. In the heart of the chaos, Elias led a ground strike on a Union landing force near what was once Moscow. He wore armor made from salvaged gear, held a plasma rifle tight, and charged into fire with Mila and Reyna at his side. Union troops dropped into the city, six-legged and armored. Elias and his team moved fast, using alleys, rooftops, and shadows. Every shot counted. Every step mattered. A missile struck nearby, shaking the ground. Reyna was thrown back. Mila pulled her to cover, bleeding but still fighting. "We're not done," Elias shouted, firing at a squad of advancing soldiers. Suddenly, the sky tore open above them. The Dreadlight descended. Inside the ship, Tharn watched Earth burn from his throne. He sneered. "This is what they deserve." But then the alarms started. One by one, his ships were going dark, sabotaged by human crews. Explosions rippled through his fleet, and on his screen, a face appeared. Elias Merrick. "This is our planet," Elias said. "We will not let you take it." Tharn growled. "You're nothing." "Then why are you afraid?" Elias ended the transmission. Then he turned to his team. "We're going up there." A stolen Union shuttle got them aboard the Dreadlight. They fought through the halls, blasters firing, sparks flying. Elias moved like a storm, cutting down guards, pushing forward. They reached the bridge. Tharn stood waiting. He was tall, armored, his face like stone. His eyes glowed with hatred. "You should have stayed quiet," he said. Elias raised his rifle. "You should have let us live." They fought. Brutal. Close. Tharn struck hard, but Elias never stopped. Blows landed. Blood spilled. Sparks lit the room. In the end, Elias drove a shock blade deep into Tharn's chest. The console fell. The war was not over yet, but the battle for Earth was won. The sky cleared. Union ships fled or surrendered. Earth stood battered, burned, but alive. Elias, wounded and silent, looked out over the homeworld. Fires still burned, but so did hope. He spoke to the people of Earth through every channel they had left. "We are no longer tools. We are no longer silent. We are human, and we are free." The fires on Earth had cooled. Smoke still rose from broken cities. Fields were scorched, and buildings were cracked and crumbling. But through the ashes, people walked again, slowly, carefully, together. The Union fleet was gone. What remained had fled or surrendered after the death of High Consul Virel Tharn. His flagship, the Dreadlight, now floated powerless in Earth's orbit. The symbol of human submission had become a ghost. In the command bunker beneath Old Berlin, Elias Merrick sat in silence. His arm was in a sling. His ribs were bruised, but he was alive. Around him, voices filled the air, reports from colonies, resistance cells, and survivors. Human outposts across the galaxy were rising. Union outposts had fallen back, uncertain without Tharn's command. Other species, once loyal to the Union, were staying quiet, watching, waiting to see what humanity would do next. Elias stood and faced the remaining resistance leaders. "It's not over," he said. "They may come back. Others may try to control us again. But the difference now," he looked each of them in the eye, "is that we're ready." They didn't cheer. They nodded. Calm, strong, change. Across the galaxy, the message was the same. On Tarnus 9, human engineers raised a flag over the Union compound they had taken. On Meyer Station, ex-miners patrolled their own halls without fear. On Sorella's moons, resistance fighters worked to rebuild and protect their people, not for the Union, but for each other. No more chains, no more silence. Elias visited Earth's surface a week later. He walked through the ruins of New Cairo, then across the scorched fields of the old Midwest. He passed burned-out tanks, shattered Union armor, and the graves of the fallen. He stopped at a hill overlooking the ruins of a city once called Denver. Children were playing there, laughing, chasing each other, free. He smiled. This was what they had fought for. Not revenge, not power, but the right to live, to dream, to belong to no one but themselves. Back in orbit, Elias made one final broadcast. It was sent across every known channel, translated into dozens of languages, reaching every human who still breathed. "This is Elias Merrick. This message is for all species, all systems, all skies. We do not seek to rule. We do not seek to destroy. But we will never again kneel. We are human. We are alive. And we will never be silent again." No species ever forgot that day, not because of fear, but because of what it meant. Humanity had snapped, not in hate, but in strength. The galaxy had changed forever.